John Nathan Turner, or JNT as he was known, was probably one of the most controversial producers of Doctor Who for a number of reasons. And today I'll be taking a look at his stunt casting of actors to Doctor Who throughout the 80s, those that worked and those that didn't. So first, it would be sensible to define what a stunt casting is. The pool of British actors is quite small. It's common in British shows to see the same actors pop up in different programmes. EastEnders one day, The Bill the next. Casualty one week, Doctor Who the next. But this is not what we're talking about today when we say stunt casting. Stunt casting was the practice of casting a well-known celebrity from stage, screen or television and plugging them into Doctor Who to gain viewer and or media attention. Sometimes they would be from light entertainment, sometimes from quiz shows, and sometimes actors but from a very different genre. The key distinction is that they were cast based on their celebrity rather than their suitability, and their inclusion sometimes just feels odd. However, in some cases, quite effective. And you can't really blame JNT for this. Doctor Who ratings, certainly towards the end of the 80s, were dropping quite quickly. So the stunt casting was an attempt to revive some interest in a programme that was edging towards its end as a result of BBC sabotage. But that's a film for another day. So here they are, in chronological order, the John Nathan Turner stunt castings. To a modern audience, who may not have any contextual awareness of who they are, many might just seem odd and just seem out of place, rather than a stunt casting. Are you one of those modern viewers? I'll be interested to know if you picked up on them being stunt cast. Beryl Reid, Earthshock, 1982. Beryl Reid was a major TV and movie star, having appeared in a number of productions spanning a 50-year career. An absolute gem for John Nathan Turner to convince to appear in Doctor Who. However, it was awful. She was miscast, seemed to have zero interest in the script, and distracts from what was otherwise an almost perfect story. You can't help but think that if Beryl Reid wasn't Beryl Reid, she wouldn't have had a callback after her audition. Resurrection of the Daleks, 1984, has a double whammy. Rula Lenska plays the role of Dr. Styles, and I guess it worked out okay, as it's not totally obvious she's a stunt casting. She has a long history of film, TV and advertisements, mainly in the US, and has since gone on to feature on stage in Celebrity Big Brother here in England. An odd casting for Doctor Who, but in fairness, not really a miss. Rodney Bewes as the traitor turncoat Dalek agent Stein, before realising the error of his ways. Famous for his comedy roles, in particular the Likely Lads sitcom on the BBC, his appearance in Doctor Who was certainly out of character. But, in fairness, he delivers in the role and makes a reasonable appearance. Revelation of the Daleks, 1985. As with the last Dalek story, this one gives us 3 main event stunt castings. A record for classic Who for sure. William Gaunt, Revelation of the Daleks, 1985. During his appearance in this story of Orsini, he was already a well-known face to TV viewers as Arthur Crabtree, the lead in a sitcom called No Place Like Home. This was generating around 9 to 10 million views per week, considerably more than the story appeared in Doctor Who. Given this, and that he was a comedy actor, it does fully support his stunt casting status. But he's actually quite good, bad leg and all. Alexei Sayle. Alexei Sayle was an emerging New Age alternative comedian who by 1985 had appeared on stage as a stand-up, and in The Young Ones, and a number of other TV appearances. Alexei Sayle was, well, Alexei Sayle, and that's the role he played when cast as the DJ on Necros. Personally, I love it, and while I was a fan of Alexei from his other work, he was convincing, if not a little annoying, as the DJ. But this is probably the Marmite casting. You either love it or you hate it, likely based on whether you like Alexei or not. Clive Swift played the manipulative ladies' man mortician. Where else other than Doctor Who will you get that combination? He was a star of film and TV before this appearance, and later going on famously to play the long-suffering husband, Richard, of Hyacinth Bouquet, in Keeping Up Appearances. A solid performance, almost classically delivered, and very believable, and very creepy. Linda Bellingham, Trial of a Time Lord, 1986. Linda Bellingham was a well-known face of film and TV, having appeared in many successful light comedies, mainly for the BBC, but also starred in Blake 7, so not a complete stranger to science fiction television. At the time of the broadcast of this series, she was best known as Mum of the Bisto Family, a series of television ads that run from 1983 to 1999. So it was a little odd to see the Bisto Mum playing the role of the Time Lord Inquisitor. Richard Briers, Paradise Towers, 1987. If there was anything that could make Paradise Towers any worse, it was the casting of Richard Briers as the chief caretaker. Now, I love Richard. His appearance as a primary comedy actor are legendary. In particular, his portrayal of Tom in The Good Life was perfect. But, oh dear, this just doesn't work. He apparently ignored directions to tone down his character, and it shows. John Nathan Turner must have been questioning even his own judgment with this decision when he was reviewing the footage in the editing room. Woeful. Ken Dodd, Delta and the Bannermen, 1987. Ken Dodd played the role of the Tollmaster in this very forgettable story from 1987. This part must have been written for Ken, rather than Ken cast the role. It's not great, but it is basically Ken playing Ken, which makes it a little bit more bearable. Maybe. Now, those of you that know your classic Who will know that I've swapped the order of the last two, but there is a reason. Hale and Pace, Survival, 1989. Gareth Hale and Norman Pace were very well known in the 80s as a comedy duo. As a 12-year-old, I loved being allowed to stay up on a Sunday night to watch Hale and Pace, and I thought both of them were hilarious and a little bit naughty. In fairness, most of their comedy has stood the test of time, even by today's standards. But it's a terrible casting. It's Hale and Pace playing Hale and Pace badly. There is no distinction from the fact that it's them, which reduces this part of the story to the feel of a comedy set piece, which is a shame, as the hungry lion bit would have been so much more powerful and relevant if delivered by an actor playing it straight. And before we move on to our main event, some honourable mentions. Sarah Green. Sarah Green played the role of Varn, but you don't really see her, so it doesn't quite meet the remit for a stunt casting, but a huge name on children's television at the time. Bonnie Langford. Maybe a controversial choice, but the part of Mel Bush was played by Bonnie Langford, who wasn't really considered a viable drama actor at the time, but was much better known for her performance as a child star on stage and TV. Kate O'Mara, the only actress to date to have played the Rani on television, and prior to Doctor Who had a long stage and TV history in both comedy and drama. I put her in a stunt cast pool as prior to Doctor Who she starred in both Dynasty and the BBC drama Triangle, which was a soap opera set on board a North Sea ferry that sailed from Felixstowe. I've not made this up, go and check. And on to the final, and in my opinion, best and most inspired stunt casting in classic Who. Nicholas Parsons, The Curse of Fenric, 1989. Nicholas Parsons was a veteran of stage, radio, film and television by 1989. A household name in the UK for varied appearances, but at the time for this appearance, he was the host of the long-running TV daytime quiz, Sale of the Century. So it was a huge jump to play Reverend Wainwright in Doctor Who. A man of the cloth who was questioning his own faith, and he absolutely nails it. He plays it straight, And watching him, you had no doubt this character was experiencing a traumatic collapse of everything he believed in. Sale of the Century was a galaxy away, by far the most inspired stunt casting that only added to an amazing atmospheric story. So there you have it. What do you think? Have I got this right? Who's your favourite? And most importantly, have I missed anyone? Let me know in the comments.